if you think that which is on the screen has beauty in it. And if you do, don't just say it's beautiful because it's pretty. Apply some of these principles to it. So what are some of the things that strike you about that image or don't strike you about that image in regards to its beauty? Okay? No. Some things will go faster than others, I suspect. So, here is the first image. Dun, 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 dun. All right. That's a painting by Leroy Neiman called Montreal Olympics. So Leroy Neiman was a very famous painter, and this was his style. I mean, most of his paintings were in this style. Lots of colors, form not quite as distinct as other painters, and so on. So, beauty or no beauty?
Joy.
Does it bring you joy, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or yes, I should not say.
Okay. Oksana, what do you say?
They're saying no, I'm saying yes, as a subjective and objective.
Okay, well, let's apply some objective criteria for beauty to this painting, or not.
What about peace throughout the world?
Well, that's certainly a criteria of beauty. So if you think, Lori, that this gives you peace, then that's one criteria. So, Father Matt.
But it's not. So that would be the sense of peace in the world would be outside of the image itself. So it wouldn't be optimistic because we're talking about the thing in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that actual piece, does that thing have beauty?
Right.
I'd say no.
Because?
Or at least it participates in it minimally.
Okay.
It has clarity. I mean, I could tell that it's the Olympics. I could tell that it's got the American flag and the Greek flag, the Japanese, the French, the Jewish, Israel flag, Canada, Mexico. But I can't really tell what those globs of things are that are carrying them.
Okay.
And the sky doesn't look like that.
Okay.
It's like a story sky. I agree with that.
Okay. Good, thank you. More comments? Okay, okay, that's our first one.
Is there an answer?
No. So this was one of my favorite slides in the whole class. So this is St. Peter Basilica in Vatican City. And so it's just an exterior shot. I don't know who took the picture, but I want you to look at that image and that structure. And again, apply some of the rules of beauty to this or not, and let me know what you think.
Yes, order, harmony, unity.
How do you see that, George? Order, harmony, and unity. Where do you see that?
Well, the order, the harmony would be the two buildings on either side that match.
Okay.
And order, it's like everything's in its place.
Okay.
Right.
And it presents a harmonious relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Other people. Don't be bashful. There's no wrong answers, unless I tell you.
What about art?
Nicole?
Well, from the talk on architecture, it has some of those key attributes with the columns, with the capitals, the pediment, the triangle.
Very good.
Reflective of the
Uh-huh.
Human skill, because all of that was created by men, women, all the statues that are around that, what do you call it? Plaza?
Plaza, sure, yeah.
And all the columns, all the statues, all the way around. I mean, it's the most magnificent.
Okay, you've got statues up here.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good. Thanks, Linda. Father Matt?
I retract my criticism in what I said about Lori earlier. Not on Lori, but on what Lori said earlier. I think it does matter what it represents, right? Because, so if it is portraying the Olympics, and the Olympics portrays a bit of world peace, then there is some goodness in that, which makes it beautiful.
Okay.
So if this was a temple dedicated to Satan, and yet it has all the proportion and harmony on it, but there's no crucifix, and it actually just has, I don't know, some other symbol that represents the devil, I don't know that we could call it beautiful because it doesn't have goodness in it.
Okay. And they talked about that a little bit on the podcast too. So yeah, very good. Thank you. Leslie?
How about the opening arms, welcoming you to St. Peter's?
So you see that in the unity of and the order of the design. Okay, very good. Yes?
I would like to see the structure lifted up a little from the whole composition, from that rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be a little lower. I'm just looking at that, the elements of design.
Mm-hmm.
It's plain, simple elements of design. It seems to be weighted down more than it ought to be.
Okay.
At least that's my...
But sure makes a pretty slide, doesn't it?
And why do you think it's beautiful?
Part for what George said. I mean, I think the unity of and the harmony and so it leads you to the doors of the cathedral, of the basilica, I'm sorry. And so it invites you in. And so that unity, that harmony does offer you peace. Now to Father Matt's point, it is, you can tell it's Catholic. I mean, it's got all the statues, the cross on the top, and so on. And so that provides a great deal of form, which leads you to God. And so I think for those reasons, I really appreciate it. Now, I've not been to the Vatican. Who's been to the Vatican here? Well, a lot of people. I gotta go someday. So I can only imagine how magnificent that is. I mean, I saw the Capitol in Washington one time, and that building, if you've never been to Washington, you can see 1,000 pictures of the Capitol building, and when you stand there and see its magnificence is something that a photograph or a painting doesn't represent. I would suspect this very same is true, if not more so, in the Vatican, because I can only imagine, is that not the biggest church in the world, I think? The biggest Catholic church? It's one of the biggest, I think. So, we'll get there. So anyway, I mean, it's got to be a magnificent structure to give witness to. And so it is, I think it's very beautiful, personally. Next. You knew I was going to bring Andy Warhol into this thing. Now,
Good to the last drop.
Kathy, if you want to argue for its beauty, feel free. But anybody who wants to argue for its beauty, I mean, again, apply the principles of beauty to this. I may be wrong. I certainly have kind of led you to believe that I'm not a big fan of Andy Warhol, and I'm not. But
Symmetry, that's one.
okay, so it does have symmetry and unity.
That's in Kathy's kitchen and bathroom, so I don't know.
I never understood Warhol either.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's got some talent, but I mean, had some talent. I mean, because he did paint those. It's not, you know. Other people want to comment on Andy Warhol? Food? Okay. Nicole?
I mean, I don't care for it either, but from a design perspective, what makes it different than the haystacks by
Don't be looking ahead.
I'm not looking ahead, but I'm saying it's a study in, different design. As same as, I mean, Monet, under the principles, of course, but he was also trying to make a statement. So.
Okay. Anybody want to argue for its beauty based on some of these principles? We did hear about order, unity, and so on. So that's
I'll give it a shot. I mean, there's definitely some order to it.
okay.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And I guess you could say that there's a little bit of harmony because it's different. It's the same image, a little bit of a different perspective of the same thing, the soup. Right? He's playing with the different colors. I mean, I don't know how much I would call it art as opposed to a study piece. But I mean, some thought went into it. There was skill in choosing the colors, we made it by hand.
Yeah.
Maybe the question is how beautiful is it? I mean, there's some in there. So somebody made it. It's not, I don't think he's trying to be offensive. So maybe it's just not particularly beautiful.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
There's some skill.
I suppose one could ask the question of any of these art pieces or images that are going to be up here, how does God reveal himself through the stuff that we're going to see? So, yeah, I mean, That is a stretch. Yes, Father Matt?
Well, so the only real colored can there is the top middle left, right? So that's the original probably.
Yeah.
Everything else is a rebellion. I mean, so there's the idea of unity, but then there's the rebellion against it.
Interpretation into it.
But there,
Yes.
Or it could also just be challenging to look at the tomato soup in a different way. I guess I would say for me, the connection to God would be through Andy Warhol. God made Andy Warhol. And
Did he?
somehow put these colors and things together for us, so.
Okay. Well, thanks. Yes.
I think also the concept, like warm soup, warm tomato soup on a cold day makes you feel good on the inside, right, as you're eating it.
Well, there you go, Mike. Thanks. All right. Very good. Yes, George.
You know, when I had a job many years ago, I had a pencil can on my desk. It was a Campbell's tomato soup can. I thought it looked neat. I did not have this board in front of me at the time, but I just thought it was a neat. You know, of course, that was the early '70s, so.
Okay.
You're the original Andy Warhol.
All right, good. All right, let's move on. What, somebody else has something to say? Oh, Gail, go for it.
I was going to say it has clarity because it's clearly soup.
That it is. Okay. All right, next. The Thinker by Rodin. Where is The Thinker located? I forgot.
There's a copy at Stanford, but I don't think it's the original.
I think the original's in France somewhere, isn't it? So, The Thinker. Again, let's apply some of these principles. It's a classic piece, but is it beautiful? Diane, what do you think? Yeah, Diane Knight.
Well, it's beauty. It has beauty because the figure is made to the way we are made.
Uh-huh.
You know, the image and
I see ugliness.
Why, Linda?
It's all kind of lumpy and stringy and tendons.
Okay.
Even he isn't impressed. Look at him.
I always thought he looked a little constipated. But fortunately, I haven't had many of those moments. But again, let's look at some of these principles for beauty. Now, one might argue, Linda, that God reveals himself through this stuff because this is a depiction of the human form. And so those stringy tendons and all that kind of stuff, others might argue that that's, and part of its classical artistic appreciation is that it renders a human form in a beautiful way because it follows the whole form, unity, harmony, order, so on, structure of beauty. So, yes?
And the human skill in taking the matter that it was, which is, I believe, bronze, and creating such intricate ability to see the muscles, individual muscles.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes?
so is the thinker and he's thinking, and so he could be contemplating. He could be contemplating God, maybe.
Sure.
Meditation of some sort.
He could also be contemplating why he can't do certain bodily functions. So, I'm just kidding, just kidding. No, that's good. I appreciate that. Any other? Yeah.
Well, and to Marianne's point, so if it was called Campbell's tomato soup instead of The Thinker, it wouldn't be telling the truth. I mean, what it reveals to us is that it's thinking.
Right.
It's not telling us that it's anything else.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yes, Kathy.
So it's thinking, right? I think one could argue that what Rodin is trying to pull us into is the challenge that thinking is. And that, this guy isn't going like, yay, to show that he's thinking. It's more of a, like, this is an ordeal that requires some real whole body involvement.
Very intense.
To do it well. And
Yeah. Yeah, good. Okay. Good points, everybody. Thank you. Haystacks, a series of paintings by Claude Monet. I'm going to see if I can still see if we turn on. Father Matt, could you turn off the light, please, and see if we can still see?
No.
Please? Thank you. Can we still see the board enough to? Okay. Thank you. So Haystacks by Claude Monet, he did a series of these. Beautiful or not?
Totally.
Okay, why, Gail?
It looks like candy corn.
And candy corn is good.
So it has no clear.
Now this is done in the Impressionistic style, which he really made popular.
I think it's very hard to be objective
It is, isn't it?
because everything is subjective to a human being.
That's a good point, Robin. But having said that, let's try to apply some principles to it and see if it can't get easier. Yeah, Marilyn?
Sure, I would say for me there is harmony in the colors, there's order, and the purpose. Well, we don't really know what Monet's, or I don't know what Monet's purpose was. To me, it kind of signifies the end of the season. So there have been people out there all year growing some hay, and of course the rains come, the winds blow, all of nature contributes to that. But in the end, this is the product of labor between man and God, and it's going to help them get through the winter.
Okay.
I see it as it's very peaceful, but at the same time, it took a lot for that to happen.
Okay.
There's what was said,
Great.
inclusion, cooperation.
Right. Okay, thank you. Yes?
So the whole series is a study of light, shadows, and his appreciation for God's creation and the manifestation of these beautiful paintings that reflect the different seasons and how light changes, which is, how much time he spent contemplating God's, the world around him and creation, God's creation. I think that is part of what makes it beautiful.
Okay, thanks.
I think he painted them at different times of the day too. Some he'd go out in the morning, and then he'd go out in the evening just to get the different colors.
Thanks, Donna. Any other comments?
Did someone say human skill? Like they had to, I know this from in Italy, they use the pitchforks and they build, they call it the copa. I don't know what they call it in France, but the hay after it was, the grasses, they were cut and then dried out, and then they take the pitchforks to build it. So,
Right, a lot of skill, you're right.
I mean, it takes a long time to do that
You're right.
process.
The only place I've ever seen haystacks like that is in Jackson, Wyoming. So they do that. There's one farm particularly where they do that, I suspect, because of these paintings. But yeah, it looks like it takes a lot of skill.